Today's guest was diagnosed with ADHD that led to her writing a book about key experiences in her life on today's episode of Life Mosaic. Welcome to Life Mosaic, where we explore the living legacy that connects generations for a lifetime and beyond. Here, life is all inclusive, embracing every moment and memory that shapes who we are. We're not just sharing people's stories, we're celebrating the timeless bond that weaves our lives together, transcending time and space. Join us as we uncover the beautiful mosaic of life. Buddy, and welcome to a new episode of Life Mosaic. And I am so excited about today's guest. She is a book author, she is a podcaster, and I think she's just an amazing guest to have here on Life Mosaic. And when you hear her story, I think you're going to agree with me. So let's give a warm welcome to Lori Jewitt.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. After our conversation a week or two ago on my podcast, I feel like I have a new best friend.
Yes, we had a great time on your podcast. And what's the name of your podcast?
Lori Jewitt, Unscripted.
Very good. And it was unscripted. And we just went to town and had a great time. And it's, oh my gosh, we got to get on with our day. We could have talked all day.
Yeah, that's one of the things you'll learn about me is my life is unscripted, so it fits.
I think in today's society, with all of the stimulation that we have, I think probably many of us feel that we're a little bit out there, but you're here today to share about your experience of being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. How did that come about?
As a kid, I never really understood. I was a little bit different. I never had bad grades that you hear about. You think about, maybe you don't. I don't know. I did. My mom was a sixth grade teacher in the 90s. So I equated at the time ADHD with the kids who can't behave, who get bad grades. I never got bad grades until high school. And of course, I got distracted and pressure. I never had any of that. I was just very energetic and could not stick with hobbies, things like that, which maybe that's normal. I don't know. And then I was trying to figure out what was going on. And my doctor, Dr. Sexton in Columbus, Georgia, he eventually told me to stop Googling things because I would go in all the time. I think I have this. I think I have that. And he's just stop. Just stop. One day I went in and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have the nonverbal Tourette's, which may still be true. I don't know. It's a thing. Again, you think of Tourette's, you think like the swear words, which is a type of Tourette's, but there are other types. But anyway, it really hurt my feelings the day that I went in and asked to be tested for ADHD. And he said, "Oh, I don't have to test you." And I'm like, "Wait, what? You're not going to tell me not to Google it?" And he was like, "No, we'll do the test. But yeah, absolutely you are." I wish I still had access to my medical records for how old I was. I think I was like almost 30, somewhere around there. But it really hurt my feelings. And so then I took this test. And back then, it wasn't like now there's the computer test and all this stuff. I just had to circle some things on a sheet of paper. And he came back in and he's, "Lori, the way that you circled everything on this page is she." And I'm like, because I would have my little ticks and I would, and so I'm rubbing through the paper as I'm thinking of the next question. And he was like, "Yeah, we don't need to do anything else." I know. But it hurt my feelings. I went in and asked to be diagnosed with it, and then he did. And I'm like, oh, I really expected to be told to not Google it anymore.
That's been your answer all the way along. Yeah. So moving forward, did this like impact relationship? Because I am familiar with ADHD because both of my kids have it. I probably have it too. I had one of my therapists go, "Yeah, they definitely got that from you."
So you're
Well,
familiar with that feeling of, wait, no.
oh, I'm so excited that somebody's talking. Let me talk over them. That's something I've really worked on is trying not to talk over people when I get excited or look at something while they're talking and going, blah, 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 blah.
It's hard podcasting, right? That's one of the things the first, I don't know, 50 episodes, I probably had the bloody lip from trying not to do that. But it's just because I get excited and I can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah. Lori, what led you to want to go to the doctor and ask this question? What was going on in your life at that time that you're like going, I really need to find out?
Honestly, I felt lazy. I felt like I was going through a time, my daughter was young, and I was going through a time where I felt like I couldn't accomplish anything. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with ADHD cleaning. You start in one room and then you wind up in every single room of the house and have accomplished nothing except for maybe like finding a TV to turn on. At least that's how it was for me. And I felt like I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and I felt like I was the world's worst stay-at-home mom, honestly, because I was bored. I needed that stimulation, and nothing against my child. She's amazing, but I needed the adult conversation. I needed to be moving. And so I just wanted to know. And I think that's what started the Google searches of what is wrong with me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted answers because nobody wants to be lazy. And nobody wants to think of themselves as lazy and useless, whatever words you fill in. And so I was just looking for answers, I think.
Okay. So you went on this journey and it led you to write a book. So what were some of the key experiences? What's the title of your book?
So it's ADHD, the inner workings of a neurodivergent mind at hyperspeed. And the way that my book name came about is like even super ADHD because I texted my sister and I was talk to texting and I said, I decided what I want my book to be about. I'm going to write about ADHD. And it came across 80HD. And she's, yeah, that's the title of your book. And I'm like, yep. And I think it is.
Are you an 80s kid?
I am. Yeah, I was born in 83.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it works.
And
I was born in the 80s. My mind goes 80 miles an hour. And yeah, so it started out. The funny thing is, I wrote a book, or I started out writing a book because I was in a mastermind, and that's what you do. You're active on social media, you write a book, you do a podcast. It was just like the next thing I was supposed to do. So I had this great idea that I was going to write a book about all the dumb things I've done in my life. And oh boy, there have been a bunch. I don't know how it evolved into like more of a self-help, self-awareness type thing, but it did. It took way too long to write. I'm trying to remember exactly how long. I think it took me like 13 months, but it evolved so much and eventually became something that I actually just as recently as yesterday, somebody reached out because I recorded an audiobook and I had somebody reach out yesterday just to tell me how much certain things helped her. And she's not ADHD. She's just wife, mother, and works full time. She has all of these things, but she even got things that when I hear that, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So it did do what it was supposed to do. It wasn't supposed to be a book of dumb things. I still am going to write the book of dumb things because there's a list like 5 miles long.
well, that's right down my alley because leaving those living legacies. And part of that is having fun and telling the fun things that you did in life, the zany things.
Right? The like, wow, who does those things kind of thing.
Exactly. So after you got diagnosed, you said that you went into business. What kind of business did you go into?
So my husband and I had a life insurance agency he started before I did, but I partnered up with him because I realized that I couldn't just sit at home all day. So I started out part-time helping him procure clients,
Procuring
getting prospecting,
clients.
getting clients. So I started out part-time and that lasted all of 5 minutes because there were people and I like thrive on conversations. I thrive on other people's energy. And so I dove in head first and moved up into. So my husband was the agency owner, but there was also like a leadership path in the company that we were part of. So I moved up into leadership and absolutely loved it. And I don't think any of that would have happened if I hadn't have realized. And I want to make sure that people understand I'm not promoting medication. I am medicated, but that is personal preference. I know lots of people who are not and do just perfect. But for me, my level of woo, whatever you want to call it, zaniness. I like that word. I'm going to start using that one, zaniness. For me, I needed it. And I wouldn't be able to lead a team and deal with clients. And because in the industry I was in, I constantly, and I'm still in that industry, I'm an agent now, but my phone was constantly ringing with clients, agents, prospective agents, and being able to like manage and get to all those things. For one, I don't think I would be able to do it if I wasn't ADHD because I wouldn't be able to multitask. But anyway, being ADHD, but also being aware of it, I think helped me because I've learned how to use it to my advantage. And that's like my podcast. The whole purpose is things that I want people to come and talk about, things they feel like would hold them back, that they're able to use it to make an impact. If I didn't know and hadn't learned how to navigate it, there's no telling what my life would be like right now.
Exactly. What so many times it's people talk about ADHD in a negative way. People with ADHD so many actors, so many salespeople, so many creative people have it. And like you said, I remember that question that you asked. It's the only question that you ask on your guest sheet is what's your superpower of something that's holding you back that has given you your superpower? And I love that question. So many musicians and stuff, but the thing is, what do you think it is that taps into those creative juices with having ADHD? Because I see a lot of pluses.
Yeah. Being able to multitask, thinking differently, I think too, because I can look at something that somebody else is looking at and see something completely different. And I'm trying to think of how to word this. We look at things differently. We look at things differently. And so we're able to bring that creativity. Some people, I am not a very creative ADHD person. My husband is, oh my gosh, he's one of the most creative people you'll ever meet. And yes, two ADHD people with an ADHD daughter who has chosen a long-term ADHD boyfriend. So my house is crazy town. There's always a show on the TV with music playing and all four of us talking and random 50 conversations going on at once. But it works for us. But so my husband is very creative. Like I wanted just a simple podcast studio. And this man, like I have my built-in fidget over here because I can pet my furry wall. If anybody has seen the movie Get Him to the Greek, stroke the furry wall. Totally the inspiration for this. Mine is more, I think what I really bring to the table is my outgoingness, which is funny because I can be an introvert, but I also can be an extrovert. I don't know. If I could control that would be fantastic. But some days I just feel like not making any eye contact and avoiding everybody. And then some days I meet everybody in the grocery store and I make so many friends and find everybody's life stories. I think another thing that I bring is people talk to me. Like it's sometimes it's weird and sometimes it makes me I have to come hide in this room in my little podcast closet because it does happen where people will dump all of their trauma and because I'm easy to talk to. I'm also very empathetic and this is not a complaint. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories much, what you do it professionally. I do it just in the grocery store, but I love getting to know people and hear their stories and people can sense that. And I had a widow in the grocery store one day. I literally was like shopping for, oh my gosh, chocolate chips for cookies. So I'm in the chocolate chip aisle and I just said, oh my goodness, there's so many options. It wound up me learning that she was a widow. Her kids hadn't invited her to holidays and since her husband died. And this was her first Christmas going to that. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to assume I know that being an empath and being ADHD or go hand in hand. So we're just going to assume that people can talk to me because of that. But it happens a lot. And I love that I can give that back to people and make them feel better whenever they're hurting. Just listen.
Yeah, I've had experiences like that also. It must be something on our face and it just goes, somebody's nice that I can just talk to.
We have kind faces. So I think you're right.
You also have talked about that you've traveled the world. What kind of travels have you taken?
So when we had the insurance agency, I don't know if anybody is aware, but one of the perks of being in the insurance business, in the sales side of it at least, is there's lots of trips. You earn all these trips. And so we went all over and I wouldn't say the world because I haven't been to like any of the places that are on my actual bucket list.
Okay.
I want to go to Italy. My husband wants to go to Italy. I don't know why that's just not on mine, but we want to do the Europe thing eventually. But we spent a lot of time in Jamaica, which is where I actually started writing my book, Costa Rica, all the tropical fun places.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's why I say Italy. I'm like, I don't know, because is it warm there? There are lots of beaches.
The Mediterranean's there. That's where I want to go. I want to go Riviera,
Oh, yeah.
Mediterranean. I want to see it.
Yeah. But we did a lot of traveling, and it's really funny because, and this is something that I like to use, help other people dig deep. Because for the longest time, when we had that insurance agency, we had all the trips. We traveled all over the place. At least twice a year, we were somewhere beautiful and just relaxing. We had the income, the fancy cars, and all those things. And it had to be taken from us because we weren't ready to accept that it was time for us to let go of that business. And so it was taken from us. And at the time, I was angry, so angry. But now looking back at it, it's the best thing that ever happened. Those experiences were awesome. Our kid has been to all the beaches and all the all-inclusive resorts and all those things. But now that she's a teenager, we have that quality time. And she actually told my mother-in-law, I don't know, a year or so ago, she's like, I miss the vacations, but not really because now I have mom and dad home more. And I'm like, that it's one of those things that I don't know if it hurt or made me feel good.
So your daughter likes it because you have the quality time with her.
Yeah, we were able to have that family time that
Yeah.
and we did. Now, don't get me wrong, even, like, when we traveled, even though they were company trips, it was all about her. Whatever she wanted to do, the kid has swam with more dolphins than anybody I know, like, we did all of those things, but the quality time was more when we were on trips and things like that, rather than now
At
we
home.
literally sit and play Monopoly every single night. I say that, we haven't in a week, it's weird.
I would have kids when my kids were growing up and going to high school. People would kids would think it was odd because we would sit down. I just raised a traditional family and I put dinner on the table every night. And they're like, "You sit at the table? We just go get what we want and go sit in front of the TV. You have conversation?" And but it's that was just how we were both raised. The not necessarily dinner on the table and all of us sitting down to dinner. But my husband's father worked night shifts, so he got the kids out of bed. They had breakfast together. But there was one point of the day that the family was together. And I just think, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that, but I just think there's something about coming together and doing something at some point of the day that all of you come together and connect, even if it's only for 10 minutes, but just interacting with each other. And that's my little soapbox.
No, I agree with you 100%. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that we eat at the kitchen table because we are all ADHD. Our kitchen table is a dump all. You can barely get to it most of the time. But anybody that's ADHD, I promise you they can relate to that. Maybe it's not their kitchen table, but we all have those.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the quality time, whatever that means to that a particular family, for us, we get really into games and we get hyper focused. We hyper focus on a certain game. Right now, we're hyper focused on Scooby Doo Monopoly.
Okay. I've not heard of that Scooby Doo had his own Monopoly board.
Yes, and I think we have, I don't know, like 7 Monopoly games, but that is the one that we're obsessed with right now. People laugh at us because we will play a game until the thought of that game makes us nauseous. I'm so sick of that game, I never wanna see it again. The kids brought home Uno No Mercy. I don't know if y'all have ever played it, but it is intense.
Ooh, it
You
sounds
can yeah,
intense because
there's
Uno
plus
can be so
10s.
cutthroat.
There's plus 10 cards in that game, so that's the new one that my daughter and her boyfriend are trying to get us into, and my husband, Dean, is not. He's still stuck on Scooby-Doo Monopoly, but whatever it is, whether it's your family, my daughter loves to ride horses. Horses are not my thing. When she needs it, I will get on a horse and go ride with her
Yeah.
whenever
Nope.
she needs that. But yeah, just the bonding and doing something together, I agree with you 100%.
You're married to Dean. How long have you and Dean been together?
19 years, it'll be 20 in May. Oh my goodness, it's coming
Ooh,
up.
yeah. We're hitting 40 this year.
Are you? Congratulations.
And then you have just the one daughter?
Yep, Tay is 17. She is absolutely amazing. I saw my cousin last week in Arkansas and he was telling his wife, I have no idea how Lori wound up with a kid as great as Taya. And I'm like, I don't either. I think he expected it to be an insult. And I'm like, dude, no clue. And she's been great. Obviously, she was a kid, but she is actually speaking. She's the opening speaker at our church women's conference this weekend. So super proud of her for that. She's going to Findlay University for horses. She graduates in May. So May's really big for us. May's 19 years.
So you said that she is a speaker for your women's group. There's a special story you shared with me when I was interviewing with you on your podcast. That is a special section of your life that now that you've been called.
Oh, yeah, calling.
While we were interviewing, you said that you had a special calling on your life to get back into the church. That's my jam too. So love Jesus. And I love to hear other people's stories of coming back to the faith. What's yours?
Yeah, and I love this question because it's funny because my daughter just practiced her speech for me before we came in here, and she talked about how that affected her and her calling, and I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool to be able to see it through her eyes." So our insurance agency, like I said, was taken from us. Long story short, it was done in a very hurtful, nasty way, honestly.
Mm,
And see, I'm like, the thoughts are coming in my head. I'm like, "Grr," I get angry again. I can
yeah.
say that I'm not so angry, but it comes back to me every once in a while.
Yes,
So
I understand.
that's
There
saltiness.
there's some things in life that just
Uh huh. So it seemed like the absolute worst, honestly, the worst thing that could happen. And then we went to my mother-in-law wanted us, and that was at the end of September 28th, which actually was the anniversary of my granddad's death and the anniversary of everything bad that's ever happened in my life. For some reason, September 28th is just like the worst. And so they literally took our agency away in a very nasty way on September 28th. So then October 31st, flash forward, my mother-in-law asked if we would go to her church trunk or treat. And we'd gone to that church a couple times, didn't really feel welcome, but there was a new pastor and whatever. So we went to the trunk or treat, which anybody, hopefully people know what a trunk or treat is. Give candy to kids, basically. My mother-in-law asked my daughter to bring a horse and do horseback rides. And so we did. And honestly, it felt right. It felt like we were supposed to be there. If that makes
mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
So the next day, we went to go pick up our hay bales and stuff that we had loaned to the church to use that night. So we went back, and my mother-in-law said, "Oh, I forgot. I totally forgot a pivotal part." So whenever we had 2 insurance agencies full of furniture and artwork, full. One of them was brand new. So anyway, we let the pastor come and pick out anything that he wanted for the church. He was able to replace a lot of the furniture, like in the church lobbies and things like that. And so she wanted to show me what he was doing with it. And so she said, "Oh, let's run in the church." And she has a key because she's a church administrator. So we ran in the church, and pastor walked over with his baby, which Sarah was probably like 6 months old, 5 months old at the time. And he just hands me the baby, and we sat and talked. And it felt so natural and felt so right. We're sitting in this church. I'm holding one of the cutest babies I've ever seen. And I can say that now because she's like my bestie. But we were just talking. Then I left, and I'm like, I just felt this like nagging. And my mother in law, I texted my mother in law, and I typed it up like 20 times. And deleted it. Then she texts me or calls or something and says, "So Pastor John wants to invite you to a meeting. He feels like you need to be involved in the church." Please keep in mind, at this point, I had not attended a Sunday service since he took over. And it was really weird because I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't know how, but I need to be involved. I have to be involved in this somehow. So I went to this meeting and somehow wound up like starting a youth group. I don't know how that happened. Because I think I had the idea of we need something for teenagers. And he's like, "Great, you can run a youth group." I'm like, "Oh,
You have the same energy, attention span as they do.
exactly. And that led to what I thought was another meeting being a like job interview. And so he actually it took a lot of, I'm not gonna say convincing, but like conversations for me to take it. But I actually took a full-time job at the church, which, as you can imagine, is a significant pay cut, but I wouldn't change it for the world because I've learned so much. I've been able to make an impact. I'm looking at a wall behind my laptop of thank you cards from teenagers. Like, what?
Yeah, that's
Yay
huge.
for you. Congratulations on your book is one of the big ones back there. But so yeah, that was my calling, was to be involved in the church. And now my my daughter, we did not force her to go to church. She made the choice to start going. And it has literally changed our lives. Like you said, yay, Jesus.
You've spent a lifetime gathering wisdom, but what's stopping you from sharing it? Maybe you're worried it won't come out right. Maybe you think your story isn't important enough, or you're unsure of where to begin. But here's the truth: your story matters. It's the thread that ties the generations together. It's the lessons that will inspire your family long after you're gone. One of my favorite techniques is to use video. After all, seeing is believing, right? I know getting in front of the camera can be intimidating. Believe me, I've been there. I coach and I interview businesses all the time, and I see the same nerves on their face every single time. You don't have to face it alone. With a little guidance, sharing your story can feel as natural as talking to an old friend. Yeah, we're going through that. My kids are in their 30s. There comes a time they were raised in a church, then we all stepped away. And not that we stopped our relationship, excuse
Mhm.
me, didn't stop our belief systems by any means by stepping away from the church. In fact, I think we got stronger because, and I'm not saying that I advocate this for anybody, but I needed to step away to get some of my own thoughts straight. And we were going through some things. But now we're all back. We're all back. Even my 33-year-old, I think he's 33. He was born in 91. Yeah. But anyway, he's back and he's like you. I need to be doing something. He just has a strong passion. And some people love it, and other people are going, I'm so glad for you, but really, I don't want to have this conversation. So I go, when they don't want to have the conversation, you just continue to pray for them, and that's their choice.
And seeds. All you can do is plant seeds.
Can do is plant.
That's what my daughter's speech is on, is seeds that were planted with her and how she is striving to plant those seeds in other people. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So, Lori, our time has come to an end, but before we go, how can people find your book? How can they find you?
So I made it easy. LoriJewitt.com. And
Okay.
there's links to my Amazon links for the book, the podcast, my Facebook. All of that can be found, LoriJewitt.com. And then, yes, that's pretty much the easiest way.
All right. You will find all that information on the show notes that I will have here in the descriptions and on my website with Life Mosaic. But anyways, Lori, I just I could talk to you every day, all day, I think. You're just a fascinating lady. I love hearing about your life and how you were able to find answers to become this person that you are today. And I'm glad that we're here in the podcasting world together.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely great. Yeah, we need like a weekly time to chat, because I think I told you last week or whenever it was, I realized I'm like, oh, besties.
I love it. And I love being here with you, and I get to share my new friend with the world. So there's
Thank you.
nothing better than that. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you soon for another episode of Life Mosaic.